All right, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about a little philosophy about my thoughts about exchange and money with healing. A little bit of history of this group. This group is free, and part of that is because I do healing for a living, and I would do this all day long. It's really my art. It's what I'm intensely interested in pursuing. It's what's on my mind. And I would do it for free if I could. But, need to live and all that stuff. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put one place in my life where I just give for free. And then everything else I need to have a boundary on with that, so to make sure I keep my body and soul together. So that's a little bit of the history of how this came. But recently I've had a couple participants, more than one, say that that they wish they could give something, and because they felt like it would be a more even exchange, it felt like they could receive a little deeper if they were to do that. So I wanted to describe my philosophy. I don't know that I'm right, but we can discuss this in the Facebook group later if you want. But I think that when that healing comes from a place of non-duality, and another word for that is like the grace of the universe. It's the unmanifest. It's even to say it comes from there is like a mechanistic, dualistic thing, because if it comes from somewhere, it must have been somewhere. So it's sort of in this mechanical, three-dimensional plane. And like that non-dual place of healing doesn't need any money to do anything like that. It doesn't need an exchange. And yet, paradoxically, and remember I say anything that's true usually contains paradox, there's an as above, so below kind of thing going on, that when we actually contribute with consciousness to something in our lives, we're able to receive from it. And so I thought I'd talk about some ways to contribute with this group so that I can get my 100 cancer cures, which is what I want. That's just a little feather in my cap that I want. And I need your help to do that. And if giving will help us receive that healing, then we need to do that. So one way to give is to show up, all right? And you're giving your time, you're giving your interest. And the way to make that really work, like esoterically or just practically, is that you're not just like, okay, I'm sliding in for the distance healing. Okay, let me just listen. That is one level of contribution. But if you can show up truly focused, ready to do the deed of the distance healing, your presence it's a contribution. Okay, so you can do that, and that will really help a lot. And then the other thing is you can contribute to the Facebook group. I'm old, so I just as much as I'm in Facebook, it's just hard for me to enjoy typing to people all day long. But if you are one of those people that loves doing that, or just grasping it a little bit, please, ask questions. I'm better at answering questions than I am at like generating content. This is my generating content part of the group, so that you can contribute that way. The other way you can contribute is because this does take me time, and I do, sustain this practice, is you can refer people to me if you think they have it, or you can buy my book, and that will actually give me money that will help me work. And then I've also somebody encouraged me to do a Patreon account, because some of you might not have what I charge, handy, but you might have $2 or $20 or whatever you feel comfortable with, just so that there's a little bit of material exchange. And again, I don't really, the reason I would accept that is that as a donation, just as a donation, because again, the reason I do this is so that I have a place to say I really can give for free. And if that's where you're at with this material, then here's where you fit into my life. So, and the other thing you can give is like prayers and well wishes for me and my family, for each other, and for yourself. So, yeah. I wanted to say one more thing about horizontal magic versus vertical magic. I can't tell you the number of people who've tried to pay me for a cancer cure. And I kind of smell that they're coming at it the wrong way. And I try to teach them how to really participate, because I'm not the healer, and all of us here are not the healers of each other. Healing is sort of, the way I think of it, it's between the healee and the grace of the universe. And all we are doing as healers is encouraging that. Right? And it's sort of an unconscious thing that happens. It's not like if you get really conscious, you'll be healed. It's more mysterious than that. So you can, however, zap somebody with healing energy, and they can feel better temporarily. I can take away headaches just by drawing them out. I can take away pain by doing that. But when we do that, when we force a healing by using our energy to make it happen, because justifiably we really want it and feel like we need it, when that happens, I call that horizontal magic. And there's this exchange thing that happens. There's this exchange thing that happens where you're doing it. And so, like when I pick up this pen, it's no longer on the desk. When I put it down, it's back. There's like cause and effect. There's all this, we're in this matrix of making things happen. And even in our imagination, that happens. You know, we're hexing and blessing each other all the time. When you think hateful thoughts to a person, that does something to them. When you think loving thoughts to somebody, that's a real deed. The attitude, and there's repercussions for that you're involved with. All right? And some people call that the law of karma, but you might call it something different. There's psychological, there's spiritual explanations of that. But so I call that horizontal magic. So even if it's done from the purest of intent, I just want to help my loved one, I'm going to like suck the cancer out of them and throw it in the garbage can, or do something like that. I find that it's not as powerful as the way that I'm going to say next. And there are repercussions that you can't always, that are often surprising, because you wouldn't have done it if you knew that was going to happen. And a surrendering, and the most that you do is you witness and you hold space. And sometimes that can even be too intrusive. So you really want to use your awareness of, do you have a light enough touch on this? Are you really allowing the person or the pet with cancer to have their own healing experience? And if you are the patient that needs healing, are you really letting this group healing spark something in your relationship to the divine, to the grace of the universe, to however you explain that? And the question is not, will this work? Because that's sort of a mechanistic thing for something that doesn't happen mechanistically. It's more like you live in wonder, you live in curiosity. I wonder what it'll feel like afterwards. I wonder what will happen. This attitude of wonder keeps you in contact with it, but it doesn't boss it around. And I find that some forms of belief in a process are actually bossing God around, and they just don't work very well. They just don't work very well. And the resonance that we try to achieve when we believe with our white knuckles, like we're going to get better, it's almost like if I believe hard enough, God will do this, or it will happen. If I spin fast enough, if I get all the images on my list, if you do the forms properly, then it will happen. You have to take the form seriously, but then there's this real letting go of all forms. Okay, so we have a form in this this healing session, and sorry I got started and remembered what I was actually going to talk about. But that's the form is not what's doing the healing. The healing happens unconsciously in the people or pets with cancer that are on the list. And all these forms are just to help us lovingly hold them in our hearts. That's one way to put it. And as we resonate together, as we get together and do this visualization, it allows, okay, yes, I guess the topic of how resonance makes healing happen, that's another topic. I can't get into that today, but stay tuned for that. But let's just say that the resonance of us being together enhances the healing. All right. And if any of you have anything to say about that, of why you think resonance might enhance healing, or just examples of how resonance enhances healing, I would love that discussion in the Facebook group.